And suddenly I have lost picture. I will deal with that in a second. But what's up, everybody? This is the That's Wrestling podcast, and we're covering AEW Dynamite from August 4th, 2021. This was a interesting show. I thought it dragged a little bit early on. And yeah, I think that was, either I was really tired or the show actually dragged. The final match was really good, and what happened at the end of the show was really good, but just felt like a bit of a drag for the rest of the show. How did you feel about the show overall?
I think that there were 4 good matches and 2 kind of meh, and then they had a lot of talk segments, and that includes like live in the ring, interviews, recorded interviews, backstage interviews. They had a lot of those in a row that didn't help the sort of it's dragging on feeling. The first match was good, and the last 48 minutes of the show was good. But in between, it was just kind of a meh sandwich.
All right, I'm glad I'm not the only one on that. So that is a plus. Overall, though, I mean, it was a good show. I just wouldn't say it was like a great show. Like it wasn't bad, but yeah, I don't know. It was just felt like, a little slow.
Even giving this show a C, if we were grading on a curve, would still be like an order of magnitude higher than what I assume WWE is doing, because it was starting to trend downwards when I stopped watching. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So yeah, so you stopped watching.
So it's like even I stopped watching just before the second Blood Money show.
That is when I stopped watching as well. So I guess we're on the same page of when we no longer watched WWE. And again, I have no idea what's going on over there for the most part. I do, listen to other podcasts that do cover WWE and whatnot, but I have not actually seen anything. I mean, I've heard all the wacky stuff that happens over there. But that is about it.
Like what my point is, like, even a C for an AEW show is still a good to decent show.
Yes. Yeah. For AEW, I think the curve is a bit higher, or I guess the standards where that you would hold them up to are a bit higher.
Yeah.
All right. Still having trouble with my video over here. I'm not sure if I'll get it fixed, but oh, look at that. It might be figured. I think I might have a dead USB port. That would kind of blow if that is the case. But yeah, I will have to deal with that at some point, but we will continue on. So what's up, everybody? You're listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you want to join the party over there, follow the links in the show notes. I monitor the chat on both sides, so you can contribute while we are talking. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at thatswrestling.com. And you can follow the link to our Discord as well. That link is in the show notes, so you can check us out, hang out over there. Follow us on Twitter at thatswrestling1 with the number 1, and I tend to post when we're going to go live. I give you the link for the YouTube, and tonight I have back with me Darryl W. Perry. How has it been going with you? The weather actually has been reasonable where we live.
Yeah, weather is reasonable. I've got right at one more week left of cardio rehab, and then school starts up August 16th. So just sort of getting ready to head back to school.
Fun. So, yeah, man, my video is all jacked, so I guess we'll go on. So, this was the homecoming show back to Daly's place in Jacksonville. So, a whole...
And it was mentioned at some point, I think during the first match, this was the 34th live show since August of last year from Daly's.
Yes. As since they started doing the Daly's Place shows.
Yeah. With a crowd.
With a crowd, yes.
Yeah.
So we start off the night with the third labor of Jericho, and this is against Juventud Guerrera, who we have not seen in a very, very long time. Jericho has to win using a move off of the top rope. This match started off, Hoovie was going straight at Jericho, and he hit a top rope Rana and then a flying head scissors, and both of them, I thought Jericho was going to kill the dude and drop him.
Yeah, and then he immediately did like the top rope Rana thing again, and then some kind of, after Jericho like left the ring, some kind of weird top rope leg drop to Jericho's midsection. So, you know, like the first, say, minute and a half of the match looked like some highlights of Botchamania. But then the match definitely got better.
Yeah, I called it a top rope leg drop to the floor. That's what I put it in my notes.
Yeah.
That's the best I could call it.
Yeah, it was weird, and I'm not sure what he was going for, if he thought Jericho was going to catch him. But yeah, like just the first handful of moves seemed kind of botchy, but at the same time, like, we're supposed to believe that, you know, the fights are real. And if you're having a real fight, not everything's going to be completely, you know, flawless and smooth.
Yeah, and as far as Jericho is concerned, we can look at it as he has been put through hell the past few weeks, especially last week. So he's going to be a bit slow-stepped. But I think just in actuality, I think Hoovie went so fast for him, he's like, oh, crap. And then they brought it back down into within Jericho's realm, and the rest of the match, significantly better.
Yes.
So back in the ring, the first top rope move that Jericho attempts a pin on was just a cross body. He gets a 2 count there. Hoovie comes right back with a super kick for a 2 count. Jericho did a sunset flip. Don't know why, because even if he got the pin, he couldn't get the pin because it wasn't off the top rope. But Hoovie rolls through it anyways and kicks Jericho in the face while he's in the sitting position still. And then he works a hold for a moment, and then Hoovie takes forever to hit a move. This allows Jericho, he gets up, hits a few shoulder tackles. Jericho's next top rope move for a pin is a double sledge off the top, gets a 2 count. Then Jericho hit a double underhook backbreaker, which was pretty awesome. He goes for a cover, but the ref waves it off. He's like, it was Aubrey. She said, you didn't go off the top rope, so can't count this one. Jericho tears at the mask. Jericho is set up top. Hoovie goes for a Rana. Jericho turns it into a Walls of Jericho, and since it started on the top rope, they allow this one to happen. Though he did kind of drop in and almost like gave him an accidental Styles clash. Though it would have been awesome if he just went straight into a Styles clash off the top rope. That would have been pretty sweet.
This of the top rope moves, this was I would say the most creative top rope move for a potential match ender that we saw during the match.
Yeah, if it would have been executed perfectly, it would have been really awesome. Jericho gets hit with a spike DDT and then a Hoovie driver and gets a two. Hoovie gets a 2 count, and then Jericho throws Hoovie towards the ropes. And when he comes back, hits a Judas effect, but it wasn't a top rope move, so the ref isn't going to count it. So he goes up top, and as Hoovie is stumbling to his feet, Jericho hits a flying off the top rope Judas effect, gets the win. That was a pretty sweet ending.
Yes. Did you notice that MJF, who was on commentary, kept mumbling insults at Hoovie throughout the match? And of course, he's been insulting Aubrey for all of the matches, because thus far, Aubrey Edwards has been the ref for the labors of Jericho. So at one point, he called her a floozy after Hoovie did not pick up the victory on the Hoovie driver. He mumbled, "masked moron." And then when he got called on it by, I think, Excalibur, he said, I would never say that. Hoovie's a fine wrestler. And like, yeah, you're the greatest heel that there is. Because, like that's definitely the type of gaslighting thing that a jackass like MJF would do. Mm-hmm. Like badmouth you, and I didn't do that.
So after the match is over, we have MJF. MJF didn't even. Post-match, Wardlow comes out and attacks Jericho from behind, stomps in the corner a bit, and then since Hoovie didn't get the job done, he goes over, gives him an F10, and then goes over to Jericho, sets him up on the top rope, and does that pull-down rising knee that they have finally given a name. It's called the Casualty of War. I think that should be his finisher and not the F10, because that's a way more awesome finisher. The pull down knee. It's basically like it's like a go to sleep, but with the top rope pull down off the turnbuckle instead.
Yeah. It's I don't know how he does that without actually hurting the guy whose head is falling into a rising knee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like go to sleep. I mean, it's the same mechanics, basically.
Right, but at least with a go to sleep, you're almost, landing on your feet before you get hit with the knee, so you can control it a little easier. With this thing, you're falling forward towards a knee, and unless you've got some really good abs, or actually, in this case, lower back muscles, you're not really controlling your fall that much.
Yeah. Put on a thick knee pad, Wardlow, so you don't kill anybody, and we'll be happy. MJF grabs the microphone. He says, "Oh, Jericho, did I ruin your celebration?" Well, labor number 4 is Wardlow, and MJF will be in his corner. And it was mistakenly said that he's going to be the special ref, but he is not. He's going to be in Wardlow's corner.
I was wondering about that.
I think JR jumped the gun and misunderstood what was going on.
Yeah, because MJF didn't say he was the ref, but it was immediately said he was the ref. It sounded to me more like MJF was saying he was going to be like the special enforcer.
Right.
Where it's like the person that stands outside the ring and yells at the ref, and occasionally gets involved in the match.
Yes, exactly.
A la Mike Tyson during that one thing that they had. But I'm also wondering, has MJF gone to wrestler referee camp? Like, is he a licensed, certified AEW official? Is there some kind of, like, one match only form that you get to fill out if you aren't hired as an official that lets you wear the referee shirt during a match?
That's one thing I can't remember happening in AEW in the past 2 years, is having a special guest referee. I don't think there has been any refs that weren't regular refs.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking the same thing. But, it's just one of the questions, and not just with AEW, but with any wrestling promotion. Like, what are the rules on someone being able to officiate a match?
Right.
And if you get to officiate one match, and then, a referee gets knocked down or, knocked out, whatever, we know that any other official can run out and sort of take over the officiating duties. So if you referee a match once, does that then give you the authority to forever be able to go, take over for a fallen official? These are rules that I want to know.
Well, since it's never happened, then I guess they don't need to establish the rule, because there's never been an outside ref.
It's not happened yet in AEW.
Yes. So we will see if that trend continues forever. Next up, we had Dasha. She is backstage with the Lucha Bros and asking, "Hey, where's Pac?" And Alex comes in, and he says that Pac's travel plans have been mysteriously canceled. So Chavo and Andrade come in and basically try to sell Lucha Bros on working for Andrade once again. And in short, Rey Fenix and Penta both tell him no. Though Penta said a lot, and then Penta says no. So, like, Penta went on with, like, 2 sentences, and Alex just says Penta said no.
Yeah, and you could tell that, he was getting rather angry from the tone of his voice, and it looked to me like he almost lunged towards Andrade, but Alex stepped in and, like, was holding him back.
Yeah.
Before saying, Penta says no. And then Alex and the Lucha Bros walk away. I'm loving this storyline. And I need more of it.
So far, so good. Next up, Tony is back with the Dark Order and talking about last week, how they don't get their title shot now. John Silver starts talking, says, "Yeah, I know that's the way it is." And then Hangman comes in, says he's sorry to the Dark Order that he cost them the title shot, and Hangman says that he has to deal with the Elite, or says dealing with the Elite, he has to take care of those issues on his own, and he wants some time apart from the Dark Order. Dark Order doesn't want to let him go. They say, we have your back and everything, and he says, well, I gotta take theirs by myself, and he walks off, and Uno says, guys, if he needs some space, then we should give him his space. And that was that.
Yeah, and I really liked how Hangman got involved in this promo, where he just walked up and, like, reached over and grabbed something off of, like, the table or whatever it was. It was like, just grabbing my beer. And then the Dark Order's like, no, we're in this, like, say something. So, like, they had to pull the words out of Hangman, where he was just gonna, like, grab his beer and go away and, like, I'm sorry I stepped in your shot here.
Yeah. Like he wasn't planning on engaging with them.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Danny Garcia, which isn't that Rock's first wife?
Maybe. maybe? I'm not sure.
I think that's that was his first wife's name as well. Danny Garcia, Jeff Parker, and Matt Lee. All of them are recently released from WWE, I guess. I never saw them over there. Versus Darby Allin, John Moxley, and Eddie Kingston. There was a pretty promo from Parker and company. It was fine. It was just it wasn't anything special. I didn't think it was anything special.
Yeah, it was like, okay. The two guys that were wearing some kind of jacket with like the weird splatter paint sort of design on it kind of reminded me, that presentation reminded me a little bit of the Nasty Boys, but the wrestling, not so much.
Yeah, massive crowd pop for Eddie Kingston and John Moxley coming out, of course. And of course, Stinger's at ringside with Darby Allin. Darby and Garcia started off with some chain wrestling. Matt Lee blind tags and clocks Darby while he's running into the ropes. Eddie Kingston tags in, he chops the crap out of Lee, stomps on him a ton in the corner. And then Eddie pulls the ref, and Moxley is just choking Lee in the corner behind the ref's back. And then he walks off with his hands up like, I didn't do anything. Nothing happened. Then Eddie gets chop blocked from behind. Parker, Lee, and Garcia beat up on Eddie. They get the heat on him through the commercial. Eddie gives Parker a few chops, misses a back fist. They double clothesline each other. And then the illegal guys from the heel team stop Kingston from making the tag. So Moxley runarounds on the outside, and he beats the crap out of Garcia on the outside. Lee and Parker find themselves standing face to face with Sting, and then get blindsided by Darby Allin hitting a massive tope through the bottom and middle rope. And then Moxley gets tagged in. He just kills everybody, hits a paradigm shift. Darby tags in, hits a coffin drop, and gets the victory. This was fine. Jay in the chat says the team of 2.0, which is Jeff Parker and Matt Lee, are formerly Everrise from NXT. She also said that Hangman left a DVD or a CD or something on the table, which I did not pick up.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm also trying to figure out why the tag team of 2.0 had the show on their tights. Like, it doesn't make sense. I do realize that sometimes enhancement talent might have, something written on their tights because that's what they use in the indies, and then they're given a completely different name for their AEW appearance or appearance on whatever promotion. Like, there was one night on Dark, a couple of guys had a name on the back end of their trunks, and they were called a completely different name. And so, like, Taz and Excalibur just had a nice little chat joking that both of the guys had the same middle name because the last name was definitely not what was on the tights. So I don't know if these guys wrestle as the show.
I got it.
Or what.
This is why I love having the chat open. Jay says the show is their YouTube channel.
Ah,
yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you.
And then post match, I thought it was hilarious that Sting was up in the ring, and Moxley and King were like fanboying out. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. The match overall was didn't need to go as long as it did.
No. Next up, we had a Team Taz video, basically a back and forth with Brian Cage. Brian Cage talking about he didn't even want to be in Team Taz. He didn't want to be with Taz. Ricky talks about how he's going to be a better champ than Brian Cage ever was and show the title the respect it deserves. And Taz says Cage is going to find out that it's better to be with us than against us. So we have that. I thought this was a good little promo package.
Yeah.
Next up, we had the Elite. They are being the most douchebag of douchebags. They're messing around in front of a basketball hoop. They're passing the ball around to everybody who talks. Gallows is wearing a Ric Flair robe, which is hilarious since Ric Flair was just released from WWE on Monday. So a fun little touch there. Gallows challenges the Dark Order to a match for the Impact titles. Nick says that after last week, I have to beg the question to the tag team division, is there no one else? And Matt says, there's nobody left. We've proven that collectively we're the best group in the history of the business. They're going to have to retire our jerseys high up in the rafters because they're going to have to bury us with these belts. Hangman says, and is wearing a Cookie Monster shirt. Do you get the reference?
CM for CM Punk. Maybe.
Yep.
It was also pointed out that the Jackson brothers were both wearing not quite Hawaiian print, but their clothing was very reminiscent of a Hawaiian print that some people think might be an allusion to one Bray Wyatt.
Though they have been wearing that type of stuff for the past, 4 months, so...
True.
So, or Kenny, he says, no matter how many shots you took, Hangman, you blew it. You have no friends now. And now the fans have no main event. I wish I could feel bad, but I don't. And they cut down the net as well from the basketball hoop they are using, which is a thing that usually they do at the end of a championship game as a souvenir for the team who won.
My favorite part of this was when, and I don't remember if it was Nick or Matt, tossed the ball over to Kenny, and Brandon Cutler just jumps in between and grabs the ball and starts trying to talk before Kenny yanks the ball out of his hand.
Yeah, he says,
"Shut up."
Yeah, I think he said something along the lines, I am the greatest cheater ever. I cheat all the time. or I am the all-time, I have to cheat all the time. Something along those lines. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So
it's
just
he's just sort of there for them to sort of push around, and then Nakazawa's just there for I don't know what he does exactly.
He's Kenny's personal secretary or personal assistant.
I would love though, for some segment with say Alex Marvez, to just ask Nakazawa, what is it exactly that you do here?
Yeah. Next up, we had Christian Cage versus The Blade. This was set up last week when The Blade knocked out Christian Cage after his match with the Brass Knucks. He jumped them from behind. Christian Cage just runs out of the ring and attacks Blade on the ramp. So it starts out there. They brawl. Blade runs around the ring on the outside, and Cage is running after him, but Bunny steps in the way and he stops, and Blade continues all the way around the ring once again and comes up around the back, but Christian is not fooled. He turns around and just clocks him when he tries to come in from the blind side. Christian goes up top at one point. Bunny grabs his leg to prevent him, and Layla Hirsch comes out, and they fight off to the back. That Bunny and Layla Hirsch does. Christian blocks a draping DDT, hits a reverse DDT DDT of his own. Heat on Christian through the commercial. They have a striking exchange. Really, it's a slap battle. And Blade goes after the eyes. Blade then stomps the crap out of Christian. Tons and tons of strikes. Christian sidesteps a spear, and Blade flies through the turnbuckle into the ring post. Christian does a dive over the post off the top onto Blade on the outside. Back in the ring, Christian hits a bunch of unanswered punches. He also, Blade gets straddled on the second rope, and Cage kicks it into his balls. Sunset flip for 2, diving uppercut. Blade gets out of a kill switch attempt, throws off a swinging DDT attempt, and hits a power slam. So Blade gets a 2 count here. And then Blade messes up a turnbuckle pad, and while the ref is dealing with that, Blade grabs the brass knuckles, but ends up eating a spear as soon as he turns around. Christian gets the win. Match was fine, but I've seen 4 singles matches with Christian now, or 5, and they've all been very, very similar.
Yeah, they're kind of nah.
Yeah, a little bit of back and forth, heat on Cage for a while, hits like 1 or 2 moves, gets the win.
Yeah, but he's somehow outworking everybody. And they also mentioned on commentary that he's undefeated and moving up in the rankings. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a Kenny versus Christian title match.
I would assume if they do it, then it should be at the August 20th Rampage show.
Because the way I'm looking at the calendar, we're exactly 1 month away from All Out.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not have any title matches set up. So everything's sort of, wide open a month out.
Yes. So we actually have...
They need to start, laying out and formulating some of this.
Yeah. So we have 4 weeks of television, and actually it's 4 weeks of both Dynamite and Rampage. So we have 8 shows before All Out. But we have 4 weeks worth of shows. So they need to figure out something quick. I'm guessing they're not going to do Christian versus Omega at the pay-per-view. I don't think that would be a very good pay-per-view match. I'm pretty sure Kenny Omega can get a non-formulaic match out of Christian. I'm not worried about it being a bad match, but it's not going to be to the level. I don't think Christian at this point can keep up with a Kenny Omega.
Nor do I. I'm also wondering, since they've already announced that there's going to be an NWA women's title match, although that's happening on NWA. But they did have the NWA women's champion on television last night. They're having an Impact tag team title match next week. I'm wondering if some of these other promotion belts might be on the line at All Out.
Possibly, but I am not sure. Maybe, again, the IWGP US Championship, and I'd like to see a big name from Japan from that one. Like an Ishii.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking because Archer has to defend against Tanahashi.
Yeah.
And that's going to be before All Out. I don't know if New Japan is going to take the belt off of Archer that soon. But if they do, there's a big name from Japan to defend the belt.
Yeah, I don't... we're going off on tangent here, but I don't see them taking the U.S. title belt back to Japan And if they put it on Tanahashi, that unless he loses it back at AEW to somebody, I don't see them doing that because Tanahashi is going back to Japan, and I don't think they want to tie up the U.S. belt in Japan because it's been actually pretty successful of keeping it over here in the U.S., doing it on Strong or AEW or now the U.S. show for New Japan. I think that makes sense to keep the U.S. title in the U.S. On a U.S. based.
Throwing out an idea.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
Just throwing out an idea.
All right. Next up, we had gotta get back to my notes here. Santana Ortiz. They basically get blamed by Dax for Cash's arm getting sliced open. They had a bit of a quick freeze frame on Cash's arm getting caught on something and getting sliced open. And basically, both teams say we're ready to do it again.
Yeah, and I love how they've worked that obvious accident into the storyline to where FTR is, they're wanting the rematch as much as Santana and Ortiz.
Yes, even though FTR beat them, it was not as spectacular. Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I think they should have called the audible of if FTR was going to originally win to do the audible of Santana Ortiz winning because they were 2 men up versus 1. But it happens, and sometimes you don't think about it in the moment. But it's fine. I mean, what are you going to do? Next up,
it's like thinking of the good comeback, 2 days,
2 days later,
whatever happened.
Tony introduces Britt Baker to the ring, says that, hey, I know you're excited for Pittsburgh next week, but you have to be excited to be here back in Jacksonville. And Britt says, yeah, right here is where I became the champ. Red Velvet comes out. They jaw jack a bit. Britt mentions that she beat Red in 3 minutes. Red Velvet says, oh, she's not a enhancement talent anymore, and she's won 22 matches and is on a 7-match win streak. And basically the title match is set up between Red Velvet and Britt in Pittsburgh on Rampage next Friday. So the 13th. And then when they start to part ways, Rebel takes a swing with the crutch at Red Velvet, but she ducks. But as she turns around back towards Britt kicks her in the knee, hits her with a stomp, and then chokes her with the crutch a little bit. This segment wasn't the best work from either lady. I thought the mic work from Britt was definitely not up to her normal standard.
Yeah, it was fine.
I think we still need to figure out what Britt is going to do if she's going to take that hard heel turn. Because, I mean, she did allow Rebel to take a swing with the crutch, and then she beat up Red Velvet right there and choked her with the crutch, which is obviously a very heel thing to do. But I think her words really need to turn heel if they're going to keep her in the heel lane, because if they don't, she's going to move into the babyface lane a la a anti-hero pretty quick. And I think it'd be more beneficial to keep her as a all-out clear heel, and she doesn't go against anybody who's going to get booed more than her.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned last week, who is going to sort of join her stable, and I think whoever she surrounds herself with going forward, if she is forming a larger stable, those people can definitely help sort of push the narrative of whether or not she is in fact a heel or a face.
Yeah, so like we mentioned, it sounds like the Iconics might be coming in, though I already forget what their name is.
The Inspiration.
There you go. They're coming. They're probably coming in, or at least that's a rumor. Of course, we have the the big elephant in the room is Adam Cole. His contract expired at the beginning of July, and he just gave his word to WWE that he'll work through at least through SummerSlam, which is a couple weeks before All Out.
So someone, according to one of the online, like wrestling news shows, somebody at WWE thought that Adam Cole's contract was up in December.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, hey, we should like talk to Adam about renewing his contract when it comes up in a few months in December. And somebody looked and was like, it just expired.
Yeah. So we can see how that goes. Actually, let's talk a little bit about that at the end when it comes to CM Punk, Bryan, and Adam Cole. Well, I have some ideas that might be a little bit fun.
All right.
So let's see, where were we? Next up, we had Dasha backstage. She is with Andrade, and Chavo comes in and says, hey, I found somebody willing to work for you, Andrade, and it's Fuego del Sol. And he's all happy. He's like, yeah, I'll totally hang out with Andrade. And Chavo says, all right, so what I need you to do, your job is...
Hold on. So I was so excited about this. I'm like, all right, so like they're gonna, like bring Fuego up from dark. He's not gonna be a jobber anymore. Like, they're giving him his shot. Good on you, Fuego.
And then he says, your job for Andrade is to shine his shoes. You're to shine Andrade's shoes. And when he's like, wait, what? I don't want to do that. So Andrade beats the crap out of him, throws him into the rolling garage door a couple times, and Chavo says, hey, if the Lucha Bros decide to stay with Pac, you guys will never be champions.
Yeah.
So continuing that on, next up, we have another segment here. Tony is in the ring with Hangman this time. We didn't get his entrance on TV, but from what I heard, the entrance that from live attendance was ridiculously loud when he was introduced. And he asked...
Since it wasn't on TV, we don't know what the lower third was.
True.
Because remember, Hangman always gets these absolutely ridiculous lower thirds.
So Tony asks Hangman, so what's going on through your mind here? And he doesn't get an answer out because the Elite come out. And then Hangman addresses them, says, hey guys, I'm glad you're here. There's something I've needed to say to you guys for a while. The Elite get into the ring, and Kenny says, see, I know you're trying to make new friends. You're also trying to take my title. You're trying to make a plea to rejoin the Elite, aren't you? But after all the failure you've had, like all these people, you're a tryhard. And Kenny says, and though we've thought it through about forgiving you for your sins, for your vices, for your personal demons, I just don't think you fit the bill for what the Elite is anymore. And because we don't have losers in our group, we don't have second fiddles in our group, and Hangman takes a swing, and the Elite beat down Hangman. He eats a magic killer from the Good Brothers. Dark Order start to run out, but Uno and Grayson are in front of them and stop them all and be like, hey, he wanted to do this on his own. We got to respect his wishes and let him know that, this is what happens if you don't want friends, and that's fine if that's what he wants. Hangman gets hit with 3 BTE triggers from the Bucks. Frankie Kazarian comes out and tries to help, but he also gets taken out. And Kenny says, here, Hangman, I'm going to give you one last look at the thing you will never possess. And he smashes him in the face with the title belt.
Good segment, and I definitely want to see where this plays out. And there has been some speculation that some of the signings or rumored signings may have derailed the original plans that did see Kenny and Hangman fighting as soon as All Out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the rumor. I personally have been saying wait till Revolution for Kenny and Hangman, so it's fine for me to push it because I was hoping it wouldn't be until Revolution anyways. So it just continues on where I thought they were originally going to go. So whether it was a change of plans or not, I am perfectly happy with how they're playing this.
Yeah, and for people that haven't been watching AEW since the beginning, like, this storyline has been going on basically from the beginning of AEW.
Yeah.
Of Kenny coming really close to getting the belt and then
Hangman.
Dropping the ball. Yeah, Hangman. Did I say Kenny?
Yes.
I meant Hangman. Just like coming really close and then dropping the ball, missing the shot, something. Because he was in the first championship match against Jericho.
Yep. So, long-term story, and that first championship match was at All Out 2019. So, we're coming up on 2 years since that title match happened. But yeah, I want to go till Revolution with this storyline. I think it'd be good. Next up, they had a video with Dan Lambert of American Top Team. They play the recap of where he got beat up by Lance Archer, and he had that epic promo from a non-wrestler. That was probably one of the best promos I've seen. And he says he's coming back to AEW, and people don't like what he has to say, but he's coming with backup this time.
Yeah,
I am intrigued.
Who the backup is?
Yeah.
Because last time there were two of his fighters in the crowd with him, and they didn't do anything.
Yes, I am curious how this goes.
I think they both also had a fight coming up in like 2 days.
Yes.
So they had a good excuse for not getting involved. Hey, I've got to save myself for my fight.
Yes.
My real fight in a cage.
So my curiosity is piqued at least. So that is good on them.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Lee Johnson versus Miro, God's favorite champion, for the TNT Championship. I thought this was a really fun match. I thought it was going to go completely different. I thought this was going to be a Miro's gonna kill you type of match. But that did not happen. But it looked like it was going to, because Lee runs in right away and Miro just runs him over, beats the crap out of him. Lee actually gets some good crowd support, which I was not expecting. Miro catches a cross body and just slams Lee like a sack of potatoes, and Lee scrambles out of the ring when Miro tries to put on the game over. Miro beats the crap out of Lee on the outside, and then Lee hits a desperation DDT. Miro pops up to his feet, but then he has the delayed reaction, and he drops to a knee, and he eats a few drop kicks from Lee. Lee hits a couple of dives on the outside, a crossbody off the top, back in the ring, but only gets a 1 count. Or no, he didn't even get a 1 count from that. Lee lands on his feet out of a German suplex. 4 super kicks in a row to Miro. Miro tries a splash in the corner but misses it, and then eats a 5th super kick. And Lee hits a frog splash off the top rope for a 2 count. Miro then hits a switch kick to the face, puts on game over. Ref has to call the match. And this little bit of work after the match was over was gold for Miro. Miro is basically cradling Lee's head. He's petting his head and saying, I forgive you. I forgive you. You can't hear it, but that's clearly what he's saying. And then he offers up the title belt to this guy.
Yeah. Miro's work as God's favorite champion is some of the best stuff going on in AEW right now. And I had to take a screenshot of a sign that someone had on opposite the hard cam. Mm-hmm. So right on that sort of wall area where the stage had been when they didn't have a crowd. Yep. The sign says, "Dear God, please tell your favorite champion not to kill Big Shotty. We like him. Also, thanks be to you for giving Miro a hot, double-jointed wife."
And then CJ posted earlier today a picture of her doing a split on their kitchen countertop. And it says, making celebration brownies for God's favorite champion.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, what is happening here?
There we go. Okay. My computer is freaking out. Are you good? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
okay.
I can hear you now. I didn't know if like you became disconnected, if like I was doing a show solo now, or what was happening.
No, I accidentally hit a button that made my computer freak out. So we should be good now. Okay. So Excalibur, Taz, Jericho, Mark Henry for Rampage announce team. Do we really need 4 people on the announce team?
No.
Okay.
And you also don't need 2 people that are active competitor, although I guess Taz isn't an active competitor, but like he's active in storylines. I that's one of my pet peeves is when you've got somebody that is, you know, actively involved in what's going on commentary.
Yeah, exactly, Jay. 4 people for an hour-long show. Yeah, not necessary at all. So we will see how it goes. I mean, could this be Jericho being put on the announce team? Could this be Jericho's farewell tour here with his Labors of Jericho? He's going to lose to MJF, and that's going to be his retirement?
Ooh, we don't know what the stipulation for the 5th labor is going to be, and it could be, Jericho, if I beat you, you have to retire.
Yep. Could be. I don't know. We'll see. Backstage.
If that happens, I want to say right now that whatever the opposite of "I'm sorry, I love you" is, that's what I want MJF to do before pinning Jericho.
Well, isn't it "thank you for your spot"?
Maybe. I don't know, but you know, like whatever the opposite of that is. And for anybody that might not get the reference, that's what Shawn Michaels said to Ric Flair just before he retired Ric Flair, who then went to TNA and continued to wrestle. But we don't talk about all of the times that Ric Flair and Terry Funk have come out of retirement after losing retirement matches.
Or we don't talk about Shawn Michaels coming back out of retirement.
All the times that he came out of retirement, like after he lost his smile, and then that other time all because he didn't want to lose titles in the 90s.
No, not that one. The one after his regular retirement, after the Undertaker retired him, he came back for a match like a couple years ago.
That one as well. Where he had one of the matches in Saudi Arabia, like Blood Money 4.
Yep. Next up, Christian is backstage. He gets asked about Layla Hirsch helping out. He sings the Gilmore Girls theme song. Says that Layla already has some best friends for her, so she won't be Golden Girls. Was it Golden Girls?
It was Golden Girls.
I thought it was.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Yeah, that's Golden Girls.
Oh, that is Golden Girls. I was thinking. My wife has been rewatching Gilmore Girls, so I had that theme song stuck in my head. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Says that Layla already has some best friends, so he won't be needed out there to be in her corner. But he says that he is focused on taking back what was taken from him and working towards titles. And next week, I've been known to stir up some shit, so I'm doing great. You might say I'm elite. So sounds like he wants to go after somebody in the elite.
Yeah. And who could that somebody be? Possibly somebody that has several belts and could be called a belt collector?
Yep. We'll see. Next up, the Bunny versus Layla Hirsch for the NWA #1 contender. And Hardy Family Office comes...
This match was actually not originally scheduled to be a #1 contender. Because, like, the only reason they're having this match is because Serena Deeb, who was the #1 contender, apparently she's hurt again. And they needed to get a #1 contender, and this is how this match came together.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say this match wasn't scheduled to be, because this match was always scheduled to be a #1 contenders match. The reason the match was scheduled was because they needed a #1 contender.
That's what I meant. Like, you know, this match wasn't supposed to happen until it happened.
Yes.
Which is really how all the matches are, right? Like,
yeah,
they're not scheduled to happen until they're scheduled.
Hardy Family Office come out with the Bunny, Best Friends, and Chris Statlander come out with Layla Hirsch. So we have quite a lot of people at ringside, though not really much came out of it. Layla keeps going for holds on the Bunny. She scrambles away. Hirsch misses a kick, gets caught in the ropes, and Bunny hits a backstabber. And then they fight on the outside. Bunny hits a shotgun drop kick, sending Hirsch into the barricade. And Camille is at ringside, the current NWA Women's Champion. And few words exchanged between the competitors, or Bunny and her. Bunny beats on Layla in the ring, stomps her face into the bottom turnbuckle a couple times. Bunny hits a running sliding forearm for a 2 count. A big knee lift from Bunny for 2. Bunny climbs the turnbuckle, but Layla follows. Avalanche suplex on Bunny. And then Nyla Rose is out at ringside as well. And her and Chris Statlander are kind of talking off to the side, but nothing came of it. So, not sure what the point of that was. German suplex from Layla, and then another double knee in the corner, wrecking ball drop kick. Hirsch hits a running knee, but she goes for a springboard moonsault and misses it by a mile. Even if Bunny didn't move, she still would have missed that moonsault. She didn't land anywhere where Bunny was actually laying down. Bunny hits a running Death Valley driver. I thought this was the end of the match, but no, it wasn't. Hirsch kicks out at 2. Hirsch blocks a down the rabbit hole and tries to get on the armbar. They roll, fight for position, and Layla breaks the grip of the Bunny, gets on the armbar, and Bunny immediately taps out. After the match, Camille walks up into the ring and she towers over Layla, though she was wearing like 6-inch heels, and Layla barely came up to her boobs.
Yeah. Even if Camille were not wearing those heels, she's still almost a foot taller than Layla.
Yes.
I think they've said before Layla's, 4'11"? Camille is 5'10".
Yes. So she looked massive, and then I realized, oh, she's actually still a couple inches shorter than I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that height disparity is definitely sort of giving off a little bit of a bit of an illusion.
Yes, so that's going to be an interesting one. I'm curious when that match is going to happen. I don't follow NWA regularly, so I'm not sure if they have a.
Nor I. And they did say that match would be on NWA.
Yes. So I'm not sure when that is going to happen, but yeah. Next up.
Hopefully the commentary on AEW tells us before the match happens, instead of just leaving it to people to figure out when the match is happening. Looking at Kenny Omega title defenses on Impact, that unless you follow Impact, you didn't know were happening.
Well, Jay comes through again. It's going to be at the Empower pay-per-view August 29th. I think that's what she says. I think, but most likely we have a pay-per-view coming up on the 29th for NWA. So most likely there.
Yeah, it's the I believe, and Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the all women's NWA pay-per-view.
That is probably correct. Just by the name of it, yes. Yes, she says the same thing.
I remember seeing that advertised on the Fight app.
Yep. Next up, there is a video promo with Mark Sterling and Jade Cargill. They say they've been out collecting brands, growing Jade's brand. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I forget if it was here or on Dark where they mentioned that she's working with the winery to have like a Jade branded wine.
Great. Okay. Have fun with that. She'll be on Dark Elevation on Monday if anybody cares.
Yeah. The 100th episode of Dark was this week. It was an hour and a half, but other than, and I think that one was only a little longer because it was the 100th. But otherwise, both Dark and Dark Elevation are back down to like more manageable 45-minute episodes.
Yeah, I pretty much just watched the Layla Hirsch match, and that was it. Because it was the only match that was like longer than a minute.
Yeah, I forget who she had a match with on Dark, but
I can't remember.
They're actually, like setting up some storylines. Oh, it was Diamante.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they're like setting up a feud between Diamante and Big Swole, and then of course the Varsity Blondes and the Acclaimed, because they're still number 1 and 2 in the tag team rankings. I'm curious when this is ever going to get mentioned on Dynamite, because that one of those two teams will be challenging the Bucks at All Out.
Yes. Oh, actually, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be challenging the Bucks at All Out.
I'm assuming it's going to be one of those two teams because they've been 1 and 2 for close to a month now.
Yeah. I don't know. We will see what that plays out, but most likely that would be the way to go. But I think both of them already faced the Bucks before, so for the titles and lost. So I'm not sure if we're going to see a repeat of that yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
So next week we're gonna have Jericho versus Wardlow with MJF at ringside. Then we have Chris Statlander versus Nyla Rose. That's really all that came out of them talking to each other over in the corner. Then we have Evil Uno and Stu Grayson versus the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag titles. And then next week's Rampage will be Red Velvet and Britt Baker for the AEW World title.
Women's World title.
Yes. I think I should stop.
Although, if one of them did somehow win the belt from Kenny Omega by pinning their female competitor, that would be not good. That would be like some weird Vince Russo WCW shit.
They need to add like the AEW Men's World title, like just so we can separate these things, because it's a world title. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah,
we're getting a little off the rails here. Next up, we had Malakai,
or just call it the under 85 kilogram title,
the bantamweight title. Yes. Malakai Black versus Cody Rhodes is up next. Malakai's entrance was awesome. He's got really sweet gear, and his music is pretty awesome too. Totally fits the character.
Yes.
Before they even touch, the crowd is chanting "Holy shit!" A quick lockup, quick strikes from both sides. Black uses a thumb to the eyes to prevent getting into the figure four. Bunch of strikes. He hits a leg sweep, goes into a single crab. Black hits a knee to get out of a crossroads attempt from Cody. Cody goes up top. Black runs up the rope and kicks Cody in the face, and Cody flies off the turnbuckle through the timekeeper's table. And then Black just sits cross-legged in the middle of the ring, just waiting for Cody to get back in the ring. When he gets back in the ring, Black hits the spinning back kick, and he puts his foot just on Cody's chest, and JR is like, oh, that's not going to do it. But no, it does do it, and Black gets the win, and he just waltzes out of the ring and to the back, throwing a little smile here and there.
And there's still like 6 minutes left in the show. And one thing that I love about Malakai Black is he still has the black eye that he got before he ever joined AEW.
Yep.
Like, how long is it going to take his eye to wind up healing?
Well,
he should put some ice on that.
Well, it could be a mental thing. It could be a dysphoria thing at this point. Like, he's slowly gone insane, and that's part of his identity. And he purposely puts the makeup on as a coping mechanism. Or
he's really insane, and he keeps punching himself in the eye to keep bruising it. Although I do like your thing of where it's, you know, a mental manifestation of a wound, kind of like how Kane's face was all messed up, which is why he wore the mask. But when the mask got removed, even though the first time we saw the weird ashy stuff on his face, then it went away. And we were told his face was never disfigured. He just thought that it was.
Yeah. So he's manifesting it to, you know, be there. So Tony goes into the ring to talk to Cody after he has been knocked out. Somebody has never told Tony you're not supposed to interview the loser after a combat sport. It tends to go bad.
Yeah, it does tend to go bad, but the winner wasn't in the ring anymore. So gotta interview somebody because we've got time to fill.
I guess.
Like, if they would have said that to make it feel more like, oh shit, what do? We've got to fill 7 more minutes of airtime.
Yep.
So if Tony would have said, like, we've still got time, let me go talk to Cody.
So
to give it that sense of urgency of, like, we're using this to fill time instead of just, oh yeah, the match is over, let's go talk to Cody because he's Cody. He's an EVP. We talk to him after every match.
Yeah, so Tony goes down to the ring. They actually throw some crutches into the ring too to help him out, but he doesn't need to use them. He slowly gets to his feet. He's kind of limping a little bit. He says, "Legacy is a strange thing. I got into wrestling as a ref at 15. All I wanted to do is win the title that they took from my dad. But time goes on. Goals change. Then I didn't know what I was going to do, and people were laughing at us when we said we're going to be a revolution. And now it's commonplace that this is destination viewing, and we've set the table to feed others, and my face has been around here on everything. He's forever tethered to the guys in the elite." And says, no disrespect to Daly's place, but this is the AEW Amphitheater. I kind of hope they changed the name. And says, no better place to say this. I love you guys, and you've made my life incredibly special. And Cody starts taking off and leaving his boots in the ring. Before he can get his second one off, Black comes out, whacks him in the back with the crutch for good measure, and gives a little bit of a smile, and again, we go off the air with that.
Well, before he gave the little bit of a smile, he picked up a boot.
Oh, yes.
And you could hear chants from the crowd of, like, throw it over here. Yeah, like, people were wanting him to throw the boot into the crowd because, like, how much could you get for, Cody's ring-used boot selling it on eBay?
Hilariously, on that note, I was listening to Matt Cardona on Renee's podcast, and he said he got more money selling his gear from the match with Gage than he got paid for the match.
That doesn't surprise me. But, then I was thinking, no, he's not going to throw the boot into the audience, but it would be funny if he used Cody's own shoe to beat the shit out of Cody. So I was thinking he was going to start wailing on Cody with his own shoe.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It would have been funny if it did, though.
Yeah.
So that is how they go off the air. A mock retirement angle. Obviously, he is not retiring. He is going off to do his Go Big Show. So similar to last year when Brody Lee beat the shit out of him beforehand. Now we have Malakai Black doing it. So we're not going to see Cody probably for a while here. And this greatly elevates Malakai Black as he just beat the crap out of one of the top stars in under 5 minutes.
And the fake retirement angle, this is one of the best ways to do it, to where you don't let the guy actually get the "I'm retiring" out of himself. And like, as soon as Tony Schiavone walked into the ring, what was popping into my head was the old baseball thing. I forget who the guy was. Was it Lou Gehrig? That, when he gave his retirement speech, I consider myself the luckiest man in the world. And of course the audio echoing throughout the stadium. So, like, I already had that image in my head. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting angle of what happens when Cody comes back from filming. And while he's out filming the Go Big show, will he get that shoulder repaired?
Right, yeah, that nagging injury that's been out there for quite a while now. I mean, it would only make sense that he finally takes care of that. So, if he's going to take that time off. But who knows what he plans on doing. I thought he was going to go out early before the birth of his kid, have the surgery, so, and then take the paternity leave, but I guess not.
Yeah. And Cody's only 36.
Yes.
So he still got, plenty of years left that he can wrestle.
Yeah, he's just the same age as Malakai Black. So that was the AEW show. Like I said, I thought it was the matches were fine. I just thought it felt like dragging a little bit. I was dead tired though while I was watching this too, but I think you kind of backed up the feeling.
Yeah, whereas the everything after the first promo after the first match through basically just before the first of the 2 title matches.
One title match and the contenders match after that.
Oh, right. The number one. That's what I meant. The number one contender match, and then the title match, or vice versa. I forget which way they were set up, but
yeah.
The last, whatever happened just before the last 3 matches. Oh, it would have been the promo that they did with Santana, Ortiz, and FTR, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So as far as that, the show actually did 1.1 million viewers. So again, that's 3-4 weeks in a row that's been above 1 million, and they even still increased some more 18 to 49 over the previous week. So this is a high for 18 to 49, and if you look back, they would have beaten the last 3 weeks of AEW had beaten the previous 3 weeks, so 6 weeks ago worth of Raw in 18 to 49, and they've consistently been beating Raw, though I don't have the numbers, but Brian Alvarez reported that they've been beating Raw consistently in males 35 to 49. So that demo, they've been beating Raw pretty consistently, and they are not far off from the Raw and SmackDown numbers. They did almost 600,000 in the 1849, and SmackDown last week did just under 750. So only 150,000 in the demo difference between AEW Dynamite and SmackDown.
And again, for the second week in a row, the Olympics are going on, but they still got, the over 1 million. It's going to be interesting to see if any of the people that have been watching the Olympics the last couple of weeks are going to tune in to some Dynamite next week.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Also, so going back just a little bit, we speculated Adam Cole's contract is expired. There's no sign that he has re-signed with WWE yet. He is planning to stay around through SummerSlam. Whether that means he's going to re-sign after or not, that is obviously up in the air. They could probably throw a crap ton of money at him, but he's never going to get used on the main roster anyways. He's too small for Vince's eyes, because I think he's only 5'10". I don't think he's even 6 feet tall.
Yeah, he's not I almost say he's not a big man. He's not the Vince McMahon loves big sweaty guys big man.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a tough one for him.
He's billed right at 6 foot, 200 pounds.
Okay, so even if he is, that means he's the same height as Kenny Omega, at least.
Yeah, like he's the same size basically as Finn Balor.
Yeah.
And we saw what Vince did with Balor. Oh, he got hurt, so therefore he's injury prone. Let's like not put him back in the main title picture, and now I think Balor's back on NXT.
Yeah. So coming in, we have most likely CM Punk. I mean, it's all but confirmed at this point. We have a high likelihood of Bryan Danielson and a possibility of Adam Cole. One of the things I was thinking, we still need a match coming up for the Young Bucks. Does Adam Cole team with Hangman Page against the Bucks? And then does Adam Cole turn on Hangman and join the Elite? Because he's a ex-Bullet Club.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible that could happen. I could also see Adam Cole teaming with either CM Punk or Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
Since all three men work together in ROH, I believe.
I think they're going to spread CM Punk and Bryan Danielson coming in. I think they're going to have a spread there. I'm hoping that Bryan Danielson is doing the G1 because that starts at the end of September, and then he comes into AEW after the G1. I hope he does the G1 because I want to see Bryan Danielson in the freaking G1. Yeah. And it would be pretty awesome if Adam Cole went back into the G1 too. But
if Danielson does wrestle in the G1, will he wrestle as the American Dragon?
Possibly. I wouldn't see why not. But I mean, there's a lot to think about when this comes up, and Jay says, "Oh, I like that. I want that for my birthday." So we will see. Yeah, you never know how this is going to go, and I think at this point, I mean, a lot of contracts are coming up for expiration in AEW in the next basically 12 months. A lot of people signed contracts early 2019 through the middle of 2019. So some people who were signed early, their contracts are coming up, July or earlier. So could be interesting to see who they start letting go, because now they are getting some really big talent and they are getting a pretty deep roster. And a lot of people, obviously they do all these darks and whatnot, but I don't know how much longer they can carry some of these people, and especially the money that they're probably going to have to shell out for somebody like CM Punk, Bryan, and Adam Cole. They're all going to be, near the top of their salary scale. So, there's a lot of people on the roster at this point, and I'm guessing they're just not going to renew some of the contracts. They probably, that's one thing they haven't done. They haven't really released anybody who didn't ask for the release, except for, I think, one person. And that was because of other issues. And I think they'll just probably let their contracts lapse, and they just say, we're not going to, renew your contract. We're not going to kick you out. But so you can stay through your contract, but we're just not going to renew it.
Yeah,
that's a softer way to do business.
It is. And I'm wondering, with, the pandemic seeming to not, in fact, be going away, if they might just keep some people on, a per appearance basis until, indie shows start picking back up again.
I mean, a vast majority of the people who are on Dark and whatnot are per appearance, so they're not contracted. So they have a lot of people who are on per appearance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because, like some of the people, Thunder Rosa, for example, she's been, like listed on the AEW roster, and she was in the rankings for a good while before she actually signed a contract. Exactly. So, trying to distinguish who's under contract and who's not is also kind of difficult.
Yes, very true. Anything else you want to touch on or talk about AEW-wise before we wrap it up here?
No, although I will reiterate that they need to start putting together some storylines for what's happening at All Out. With pay-per-views, happening only once a quarter, I would like to see more matches be announced sooner. Because, promotions that have monthly pay-per-views, sometimes they already have a match announced 2 pay-per-views ahead of time. So, if you want to sell your pay-per-view buys, you need to sort of give people a reason to buy other than, I'm a fan of this product, I'm going to buy this pay-per-view no matter what.
Yeah, this seems like the latest they've gone without even have a single match set for the pay-per-view. Like most of the time they're 6 weeks out, they start kind of trickling in their first ones, and usually by 3 weeks out you have most of the card, and you might get like 1, maybe 2 matches 2 weeks out, and rarely get a new match during that last week. Sometimes you will, and if like there's a tournament or something that needs to wrap up before the pay-per-view, but usually they're ahead of it. So,
I see a question here in the Discord chat. Somebody says, "Do you think the E is getting ready to sell?" It would not surprise me if the McMahons are getting close to selling their controlling share of the business.
Given the moves that they've made and for business reasons, I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility, because they're trying to prop it up as much as possible, it seems, by dumping huge salaried people. I mean, it's amazing the people that they've let go in recent months, how many of them were like WWE champions. Like, they got rid of Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, both of them recent, within the past year and a half, being WWE champion or Universal champion. So that is just crazy right there, some of the people that they have let go.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks everybody for listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on Twitch and on YouTube. You can follow the links in the show notes to your platform of choice, so be sure to subscribe to those channels and you'll get a notification when we go live. Also over on YouTube, I tend to schedule ahead of time, at least a couple hours, sometimes for shows like New Japan. I try to get a few more than a couple hours so people are alerted when we're going to go live, because New Japan, of course, does not have a set schedule. And we tend to do AEW Dynamite on Thursday evening, and the pay-per-views the following evening of those. So those tend to be a little bit more predictable on when we do shows. New Japan is a little more shotgun. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to eric@thatswrestling.com. You can join our Discord. Link is in the show notes. Head over to your favorite podcast app of choice. Drop us a review and share the show around, whether the video links or the podcast itself. It really helps out. You can follow us over on Twitter @thatswrestling1. You can follow Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter. And I believe that is it. So I think we'll be back next week sometime, most likely for AEW, though there's some New Japan stuff coming up as well. But we will get there when we get there. So thanks everybody for listening. For Darryl W. Perry, my name is Eric LaRoche. You've been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.